understanding from yesterday, I believe like we have a clear picture about how exactly a work object is created in Pega, and then how exactly it goes and sits inside a database, and how I can access that and see if that data is persisting there. That's fine. So today we are going to move one step ahead, and we are going to understand what are data types in Pega, right? What are data types in Pega? Let me close this. Let me create a new sheet for you. So today we'll be seeing what are data types in Pega. So before we go there, right, uh, what do we understand when I say a database table, or a table in the sense something which holds data, right? Do we understand what is a table or a data table? What is a data table? A basic understanding of data table is a table which holds or stores data, right? Of course, as I said, you guys need to spend some time in understanding what is database all about, and to do that I have told you the website to understand, that is W3 Schools. Go there and do some SQL tutorials. Very simple, very easy. Even a blind person can see in that, and a deaf can hear. It's that simple. You can understand SQL very easily from W3 Schools. So what is a data table? A table which holds or stores data. Yes or no? What could be a data? For example, if I say employee table, that means there are some columns inside that employee table, right? You can have a column called as employee ID, right? You can have employee name, right? You can also have a phone number, like that. So right now if I see this particular table has 3 columns, yes or no? So this particular, come on, this particular table I'm trying to create has 3 columns. I can call it a data table. Why? Right now let us say the employee ID is 111 and his name is, let's take the name of this namecomer guy, latecomer Nikhil. Okay, and his phone number is some 9499 something. Okay, this is phone number. Can I call this as a table, a employee table, and then it has 3 columns in it. First column is employee ID, employee name, and phone number. 3 columns: employee ID 1, employee name 2, number 3. So 3 columns are there, and this has some data. If you have something like this, you can call it as a data table. Anything which is represented in a structured format, there is a structure to it, right? You can't have Nikhil here. Why? Because it's an employee ID column, only IDs go here, and name goes here, and phone number goes here. So there is a structure to it. That is why we call it as a relational database table, or DB table, or a table which holds data. Just understand this as a table which is holding some data. Same thing is true yesterday when we were, like day before yesterday, when we saw our database, we saw that columns like these were populated whenever we create a work object. The data got populated in the work table. Did we see that? Yes, no, we saw that, right? Perfect. So that gave us understanding that any application which we are dealing with right now has an association with database, and there is a table. There are tables which will be holding the data for our application. Perfect. Now coming to Pega. Now that we have understanding of what is a data table, let us understand what are data tables. Slash, they are also called as data types. They are also called as data classes. All these are associated. I'll show you how. They're also called as, I mean, it's also something like, it's data storage, right? Ultimately what they are trying to do is they are trying to store some data in columns, in a table. That's what they're trying to do. So data type, yeah, or all this is nothing but data type or data table or anything. This is nothing but, um, for example, a data type is nothing but something is like a table which has data storage, in the sense whatever you try to create in your application can be stored in a table, and they are calling that as data type or data table, right? Where can we find this in Pega? If I go inside Pega, let me go here. Sorry, I'm here. Let me refresh this. We are done with these work objects. Let me close it. Don't need this. So when I come into Pega's Developer Studio, do you see anywhere something called as data types? Are you able to see anywhere data types? Where is that? Yes, in the Explorer you will see. Yes. So in the, this is called as Explorer. This Explorer has something called as data types. Let's click here. Right now we have no data types. Data types are nothing but you have to create tables to, capture some data, and right now we have nothing, right? So they can be created from here. They can be created from here. If I click on this drop down, it should give me a create option ideally. Like see, you see here, add a data type. There is an option. So it can be created. Data types can be created in Pega from data types Explorer. How do we do that? We'll see that. Okay. Now, taking one step back from what we have been studying. So we understood when we created the application, so did we create the application called alpha? Yes or no? Did we create this? So this is our framework application. If you see FW here stands for framework. Yes or no? That's right. And then if you see at the organization level also we have a data class. Alpha hyphen data is my data class for at the organization level. So if I open, if I expand, see right now I'm pointing to alpha from the application explorer. I see a data class, a integration class, and I also see my implementation class alpha auto, right? Alpha auto is my implementation class, but this alpha hyphen data is my data class at the organization level. If you see, it is coming from alpha hyphen data, and the parent is, directed parent is data dash. These are out of the box classes, right, which Pega is providing. Didn't we see that when we were exploring classes? If you go back to my classes session, we will see that, oh, this is the class which comes from Pega rules. See when this is created. If you see, this was created in 2000. I'm not sure if anyone was, any of you are young enough to be born in this year, but this was created in 2000. That means this is an existing out of the box class, which is an abstract class. What do you mean when we say abstract? You can't create an object out of it. You can't create a page out of it. It's an abstract class. Just understand, data dash classes are having the parent, the data class of your organization is having the parent as data dash. We have seen, if any one of you have not understood what is classes all about, you should visit our classes session. In that we have understood what is a abstract class, what is a concrete class in detail, so that will give you understanding of what we are trying to see here right now. That is one thing I wanted to show. See, if you come at the organization level, you will see a data class available there. Now let me go one step inside. This is my Alpha Auto is my implementation class, and this has also a data dash class. See, alpha auto data dash. This is my implementation application, right? Alpha auto. Yes or no? Now, if I point back to my work class, see, right now we are pointing to alpha auto alpha. This is where we created our properties. Do we remember? We created properties here, right? Age, city. Also, we created a flow action, a section, right? Under our work class. Our work class is under alpha auto of our implementation. Work class is here. Same way, if I go one step ahead, back, I will see that my work class, my data class is also there under my this thing, which is what we saw, right? Alpha auto. Under alpha auto, I have data, work, and integration. All the integration related rules. For example, if you are connecting to an external system, that is integration. What is integration? We try to integrate with someone else. Those sort of rules will go under these classes. Data will always hold whatever is related to data. Does it make sense? Why do I have to use the name data here? In order to make sure whatever related to data, like, standalone data you want to maintain for your application, you can save there. What is standalone data? For example, like we saw the employee table, right? The, it is a separate entity, right? For example, let us say you want to maintain list of countries. Let's go by application, right? If it's too challenging for you, let us say Zomato, no, okay, Uber Eats, let's say. So let's say Uber Eats, right? Uber Eats, for example, if I'm trying to pick an option from here, let's say uh, these two options are, let's say, the address here 1569, let us say. Do you see the address getting popped up here? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Are we able to see this address coming here? Yes, no, perfect. So understand that data like this has to come from somewhere. Like, for example, when you go inside your phone, and if you have 10 Shilpas in your phone, and when you try to write SH, you will see all those Shilpas coming in your contact list. Yes or no? Yes, no. When you try to search for someone in your contact list, do we see that happening? How, how is that happening? That is happening because in the name of Shilpa, you have saved 10 contacts, and all those are in your phone memory. You saved that data in your memory. That is why all those are popping up. Does it make sense? Yes or no? In the same way, when you try to build an application, you will also need a lot of data. For example, when we are trying to design our user interface, the city drop down needed a lot of data, right? All the city data has to be there. Like, we chose pick list and we added 3 to 4 cities there. Did we do that? That has nothing to do with your work application, but that is a standard or standalone data which is there. You need that. For example, number of states in our country. Will it change? Will it change? The number of countries, states in our country? It won't change. It's a standard data. It's a standalone data. To maintain that, we need data tables like this. Why do we need data tables? For example, on application, you want to show that data, you need to source it from somewhere, right? You should have it somewhere. For example, if you are looking for some contact in your phone, you should have saved it before. Yes or no? To perform such save, or to save such data, we will be using data types in Pega. That is our understanding. Okay, our understanding is to source such data. For example, city data, country data, state data is one example where we are trying to look. In the same way, when you try to build a custom application for a typical customer, he might have list of employees who you may have to maintain. Then you will be maintaining that in such data type. for employee like this, like how we are maintaining. Of course, when we try to build it, we will understand. And what we have to know is whenever we try to create such data types, we will be creating it under a data class. So I was showing you where does your data class lie. See, it lies at three different places. For example, if it is organization level data, then it will be in the organization data class. How can I go to organization data class? Alpha hyphen data. Was I able to access that? Yes or no? Right? We saw that, right? Alpha hyphen data we saw. If I go to alpha class, I'll see that there is a data class under alpha. Same way at my implementation also, if you see under my implement alpha auto is my implementation, there also I have a auto data class. At my framework level also I have a data class. See, alpha insure is my framework application. Under that also I have a data class. So why are these available? Based on where exactly that data should lie, you will be creating the data there. When we create it, you will understand. But understand one thing, all the data classes or data tables you create will be going under the data classes. All the data tables or any such data you will be creating will be going under the data classes. That is a clear understanding here. You won't be creating under work class, but you will be creating under data class. Why? It is a data type. And to create that, we can do it from here. But I'll show you that, okay? But we need to understand that. So what happens every time we create that, we'll see that, okay? So this is my implementation layer data class. Do we agree? Because it is coming from Alpha Auto. Alpha Auto is my implementation application, right? Data class is, wow, why does this, okay, it came like that. No problem. And same way, my organization level data class would be alpha hyphen data. Do we agree? Right? We saw that, right? We saw that the organization, I don't want this. Okay, accept it. To turn this off somehow. Okay. Is alpha hyphen alpha auto hyphen data. This is my implementation data class. Same way, my org level data class is alpha hyphen data. We saw these. Why are these needed? Why we have two data classes, one at implementation, one at organization level? You will understand when we try to create data which is relatively which belongs to only these classes, we will understand it. But right now, just understand that data classes exist. When you try to create your application, Pega automatically has created this. How can I know that? If you go and see the history of this particular class, you will see it got created on October 27th. Sir, no? Do we see that? Right? I didn't create it today. See, today is 30th. I didn't create it. When we created this application that day, then it has got created. Right? Perfect. So now we have understanding of what is a data class for my implementation application, and at the organization level also I have a data class. I saw that also. How can I navigate there and I can see, we saw that. So to create that, what we have told, we have to come here and create. So we'll try to see what exactly happens when we try to create a organization. So these are data type layers which gets created. So let us see how exactly. So to do that, what we will do, we'll try to make sure like we had states, right? To maintain states, let's try to create a states table, and then we'll maintain the state name and state code under that. That is my standalone data I want to maintain, just to understand how exactly the data layer gets created. Let's say, like we said, I came to data types. I'm showing you again. From the Explorer tab, come to data types, click on this drop down, click on add data type. How do I reach here? So for example, if I am on App Explorer, I won't be able to create from here. You have to come to data types, click on this drop down. Right now I have no data types, and say add data type. Make sense? When we do that, it actually gives you two radio buttons telling you want to add it to an existing data type or you want to create a new data type. So I want to create a new data type, right? I want to create a new data type, and this is a states table I want to maintain here. I want to maintain a states table. What is a states table? A table which I'll be using to maintain the data with respect to states. All the states I have, I want to maintain that under this particular table. I'll call it states table. Okay. And then if you see, the states table data is going to be same irrespective at the organization level or at the implementation application level, right? Does Karnataka become Chennai when it comes at the implementation level? No, it has to be Karnataka. So this is a standard data. I want this to be maintained at the organization level. This is the best standard. When you know this data is standard, you have to maintain that at the organization level. Right now, if you see, the parent class for this particular data type is implementation class. Yes or no? So this data has to be, if you maintain it at the implementation level, you know, I will tell you what is a drawback with that, but the best standard to maintain this data, does it change? Does it change overnight? The states, the number of states, do they change? Or the names, do they change? Other than the names of cities in Uttar Pradesh, I don't think anything has changed drastically, right? Okay, perfect. Um, Now, if I have to modify and say I don't want to save it at the implementation level, I want to save it at the organization level, I will remove this alpha auto, and I will say, see, alpha hyphen data. See, it is circling here to figure out. See, it found it. Do you see it telling organization data class? Now, when we drill down to that, if you see, the identifier will change. Now it will be pointing. Now this is getting saved at the organization level. Does it make sense, guys? It was pointing to implementation data class, but I don't want to save it here. Why I don't want to save it here is the states data will be limited to only this application. If I want to create another application, for example, personal insurance, will I be able to access what is there in auto insurance? No, I can't. Why? Because it is in this class. When I try to create a personal insurance class, it will be alpha hyphen alpha PERSONAL personal, right? And this is not accessible there. That is why we are creating this data at the organization level. Are we able to understand? If you guys have not understood this, I can explain this again. Why we are trying to create this particular data table at the organization level. Very important to understand. Yes, no, perfect. So to build a standalone table or a data table in Pega, we are going to use data types. That part is clear. Now, when we are trying to create a data type, we need to know where exactly this data should lie. Yes or no? It is like telling where will you build your main door when you're trying to build your home. Does it make sense when you have ground floor and first floor? Does it make sense your main door being in first floor? No. Imagine the auto implementation application which we have created. It is like a first floor, right? Which it was built on top of ground floor. The ground floor being your organization. Yes or no? You want everyone who comes inside the home to be able to access the main door. Anyone who comes from the main door, he can go to first floor. Also, he can go to the second floor. Yes or no? So now when if I create a data table at the uh, you know at the implementation level, then I'm saying I want to create a main door on the first floor. Now anyone who wants to go into the ground floor, or if I want to have a a basement, will someone be able to go there? No, right? The states data, if it gets created at the implementation level, only implementation class members can access that. For example, whoever is on first floor, only they can use that door. No one from ground floor, no one from basement, nor from second floor. None of these guys can access. Why? Because it is only present in first floor. Does it make sense? Do we understand why we are creating this at the organization level now? Perfect. So now I just clicked add data type. I gave a name called states table. I want to maintain the states data in this particular table, and I'm saying this is the class I want to hold this in. Perfect. And then what I'm saying, let me click submit and let us see what does it give us. We got a pop-up. We told new data type, we gave a name, we gave a class where it has to belong to, and then we did save. So where a data has to lie is also with respect with it's up to us where we want to save it. Okay, where we want to save it is up to us. The second very important thing is, the data class you create, slowly, the data class, whenever you create a data class, right? For example, right now we created this data table. Do we agree? States table is a data table we created. Yes or no? So when we created this table, Pega does something in back. At the back end, it does something. Let us try to see what it did. Okay. Let me go to App Explorer and let me right now see what all classes are here. Alpha, Alpha Auto. Under Alpha Auto, you have data, intent, this thing. Don't worry about that. Under data, see, do you see a states table getting created under this thing? We didn't have this. Do we agree to that at least? Did we have this? No. So when we created a data table, Pega automatically created one data class for us. Because why is it a data class? Because its parent is data dash. See, if I expand this, it should give me that class. Yes or no? See what type of class it is? Concrete class. And very important, it does not belong to a class group. What this means, when we discussed classes, I told you, if it belongs to a class group, it will be using the same work object table to create to store the data. When it does not belong to a class group, you know what it means? It means that it has its own table. See the table it is mapped to? PR underscore other. Does it make sense, guys? Yes? No? Whenever we create a data type in Pega automatically created this data class for you. We didn't create that. We just told a data table and states table got populated. We saw this screen, right? This is the screen we saw. Yes or no? Yes, right? Perfect. And then what it created, it also at the back end, it has created us this particular class, right? This states class, if you see here, history, it got created right now, 10:53. I mean, it's in EST time zone. So if you see, it's 11:02 here. Like a few minutes before, it got created. Yes or no? Do we agree, guys? So this class got created and it's a concrete class. Every concrete class is mapped to some table in Pega. That's why you are seeing it is mapped to PR underscore other table in Pega. Yes or no? If it was belonging to a class group, then it would be pointing to your class group. Whatever is your class group, it will be pointing to that. Our class group here is Pega Alpha Auto hyphen work is my class group. But every data class you create should be a concrete class. Very important. Must be a concrete class, and it should not belong to a class group. When you create a data type, Pega automatically takes care of that. Don't have to worry. What you need to remember is when you create a data type, this particular thing happens. Now you see on data types, you will see your state table. Yes or no? Are we seeing the state table here? But right now I see no fields here. That's okay. We can add the fields. So let us say we want to add few fields to this table, right? I want to add few fields to this table. I would say, what does the state have? Let's say add field. Okay. What does the state have ideally? It has a state code. So let's maintain state code and state name in this particular this thing. Let's add new fields. I'll say code, right? It is a text. So let me call it text. I also want to have state name. We saw how we can add these fields when we are doing properties, right? Yes or no? So I added state code and state name. Let me say submit. So I just need these two fields. I'm just maintaining this data, right, in this thing. Perfect. Let me save this. But what data should be here? That is something you can understand. When we created a states table, it just gave us a blank screen and we were able to add two fields to this. But what data should go under these things is something which you will be storing in the records. Yes or no? The records tab is meant for that. Let us say we want to store some data here, right? And then let's say configure source. What did we do? We created a states table. Pega automatically created a concrete class for that and mapped it to a Pega table. We came back here, added two fields, right? And then we came on records and we are saying configure source is what we said. And you see all these details got populated. Did you create any of these properties for this, guys? No, right? We didn't create any of this, but we just created these two. Which are those? State name and state code. Pega automatically is giving you a commit date time, when this was created, who created it, what is his ID, what is his name, what is the system through which it was created. If you save this, what time did you save? These properties Pega automatically is adding. This is called as metadata. It is called as metadata. Whenever you take a picture, if you go and see in properties, you will see so much data there. This is taken in iPhone X and all that. You didn't tell that when you were taking a picture, did you? No. But iPhone automatically added that for you. Android automatically added that for you. Why? What do we call that? That is called as metadata. This data is very important, right? This will give you, if you have to maintain or understand when a certain piece was created, this will be helpful, right? Yes or no? That is why they have added. Don't think that, oh, are these guys dumb? Why did they add these many properties? I was just happy with these two. What they mean is whenever this gets changed, you want to know when it was changed last time, when it was saved last time, who created this particular, who added this property. To understand that, you can come and check these properties. What did we do? We created a states table. We added two columns, in the model, and then we came to this thing and records, and we clicked configure source, and it showed us this thing. But table is as good as a safe. You have a safe in your home, in your almirah you'll have a safe, and but to access that, you will use a key, right? To open your safe, you will use a key, right? Yes or no? If you have kept money in that, you'll use a key to open that safe. Do we agree? In IT, data is money. Just remember that. Data is money, and to access that, you should have a key. Do we agree? Data is money, right? If you look at today, if you have data, you can do stuff, right? Right now, what you are doing, you are gathering this data. With respect to Pega, you are gathering this data so that you can make a fortune out of it. Because you know this data is money for you to make money. Make sense? Ultimately, a table to be accessed will need a key. Okay, it will need a key, and you have to choose a key for that. To access that data, you will need a key. It's like telling, hey, I want the states code details, and to do that, to honor your request, you will need a key on a table. That is why they have given you use a key checkbox. So I will say my state code will be the key. My state code will be the key. If state code has to be the key, I'll have to check this checkbox. Make sense? Are we able to understand, guys? Okay. After this thing, just say submit. I'll come back again. Okay, I'll show you again. But it's plain and simple. Just for the first time, you will feel like, what the heck are we trying to do here? You know, it is nothing but to store some data. There is a way in which you can store the data in Pega using data types. You have to create a data type. Where does it go and sit? It goes and sits in a data class. And at the same time, you can add certain columns, and then you can choose a key for that. And that's what I have done here. Nothing fancy. No rocket science here. I'm not sending anything to Mars from here. Very simple. We can use that. It is like, uh, inside your almirah, you don't want, the old metal locks. You remember the metal locks, how they were? Would you put that there? No, you won't put that. You always want to put something smart, small. If you see state code, it is always with this thing, it is small. It is like TN, KA, like that. Forget about this. For example, if you are maintaining a student's list, will you maintain your student? The key for the student's list will be name or their uh, SIN or the ID. It's always ID, right? They can't keep name. Why? Because in a class there can be 4 Pradeeps. When you access first Pradeep, his father is Prakash. Second Pradeep, his father is Nikhil. Third Pradeep, his father is Vishwas. Now, if you pass only Pradeep as key, you don't know whose father is coming out from that list. Do you agree? Yes or no? So it is always good to maintain the ID, right? If it is ID, for example, if it is if you see when you are getting your hall tickets, it is never your name. It is always the hall ticket has your the specific roll number or some specific ID. Have you seen that? Yes, no. Does it make sense why exactly we chose state code here instead of state name? This might not be ideal example. Just take your student registry, right? In a class there will be 4 Kartiks, right? But their roll numbers will be different. That is how they can differentiate their marks. Or else the Karthik who scored 100, the other person also will take that same sheet and tell, oh, I am also the same Karthik. But how will you differentiate them? Based on the ID, the key. This is a unique key. Does it make sense, guys? Yes? No? If no, I can explain it in a different way. Do we agree? Yes? No? Are we able to understand? Okay. So now that we have understanding of what is a data type, we created a data type and we saw that it is appearing here, right? It is appearing here. We checked it, and you can also view the details here. You can check this, I guess. And then if you come down, you will see the details for this particular thing. When you created this particular data type, right? What Pega did at the back end, see, it is telling it has created this table under which you can find this data, right? Like how for work, Pega had already created as a table, right? Alpha auto hyphen work, PC underscore. Do we remember from yesterday's class? Day for yesterday's class? Yes, no. Same way what Pega has done, it has also created a table for you to see this. It created a table, a class, a report definition. What is a report definition? Don't worry about that. Just remember that Pega has automatically created. You didn't do any of this. That's why we call this as a low code platform. You're not coding, you're just saying, I want two columns in this table, and Pega is taking care of doing all this. Did we do any of this? Did we do any of this? We didn't do any of this. We just told, I want state code and state name, and Pega is saying, hey, you want state code and state name? Don't worry, buddy. I can do that. Also, I can create all these things for you, which you can use later. How is it beneficial for us? We'll see that. Don't worry. Okay, we'll see that. Right? So did you understand how exactly we can create, go to records and enable a key and then save? And if you do view details, you're able to see all this stuff, right? Perfect. Now what we can do is let's close this. Okay. Save it. The save is very important. The Pega platform is still naive, they don't have a, auto save or something functionality like that. So you'll have to keep clicking save or else you'll lose your work. Just remember that. Perfect. Now I saved that. Now let's try to add some data. To add some data to this thing, I just have to say add record and I have to give some details here. That's it. See, very simple. State code is what? My key. So I'll say KA. What does KA stand for? Tamil Nadu? No, right? Taka. Perfect. I want to add few more records. TN. Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu. TS. Telangana. Right. So MH. Maharashtra. Perfect. And then just save it. This is how I can build a list. This list is limited, right? The number of states is limited and I can maintain the data here. In the similar way, whatever data I get, I can create a data type for that this way, right? Yes or no? To do this, what did we do? We understood first what is a table all about. I'm just trying to, today's takeaway is this, how to create a data table or a data type in Pega, So we understood what is a table all about. A table is something which has columns, right? And it has some data. Data table, data table. What does it do? It stores some data. And to do that, we can create such tables within Pega also under data types in the Pega Explorer. Yes or no? But it has to be under the data class. It has to be under the data class. Why we created states table under the data class? We understood that because there was implementation as well as this thing. Why did we do that? Tomorrow, for example, if I have a personal insurance application that is also extending from alpha, so they can also access this state data. If I create this under implementation class, for example, alpha auto data, only implementation class will have access. That is a door which was built only for first floor. No one else can access that. Yes or no? Yes, right. And what did we do? We came here from this drop down. I chose add data type, and then I was able to add a data type. I gave a name. I called that as states table, right? And from the advanced tab, I opened it and I modified. I wanted the class as organizations data class is what I needed it. I modified. So states table got created under data dash alpha hyphen data dash. What did Pega do for me? When I created that, Pega automatically created a concrete class called alpha states table. Yes or no? It created a concrete class called alpha states table. Why do we need concrete class? In order to have a mapping to a table in database, you need a concrete class. Yes or no? Is it mapped to the table which we saw from details? PR alpha underscore data. Is it mapped? Yes? No? Perfect. Very good. I'm just trying to review this and give you a second perspective of what we did, right? Second perspective of what we did. We created the states table and then we added two columns. After adding those two columns, what did we do? We went to the records tab and we wanted to see what should be the key. We chose this guy as key and we also saw few things already Pega created for us. What did it create? It created, you know, a database table. It has mapped that to a specific table. States table is a specific table only for states data, right? Yes or no? Like you didn't write SQL or anything, but Pega automatically created that for you. Isn't that nice? Like you don't have to know SQL to do anything, but Pega is automatically taking care stuff like that for you. Also, it created, the class for you, and there are some other things also it has created. We'll understand that in detail. But today's takeaway is how exactly you can create a data type in Pega. Was it conveyed, or do you guys have any doubts with respect to that? Yes, no, yes, yes. Okay, so yesterday's class, if you had attended, we discussed that in detail. We understood why do we have PC and PR. So PC tables are more to do with work object information. For example, any work object you create will go and get stored into PC underscore your work table name. For example, I'll show you that. This thing is not loading, that's fine. From the App Explorer, let me take you to work class. Under work class, see, this is my work class. This is not a data class, it is a work class. If you see alpha auto hyphen work, where which is my implementation layers work class, this is where we created work objects, right? And now when I try to do a test connection, see the class it is pointing to: PC alpha auto underscore work. There are two schemas, rule schema and data schema. Okay, Pega is split into rule schema and data schema. All rule related data goes under rule schema. All data related stuff goes under data schema. And this is transaction information, right? PC alpha auto work has transaction information. When I say transaction information, if I click on this, you will see the work objects I have created. Yes or no? These are workup. This could be your orders you made. For example, you wanted insurance. One guy wanted insurance. Second guy, third guy, fourth guy, fifth guy. For example, here Vishwas wanted some auto insurance. He came and created a case. This is transaction information. This transaction is existing. Vishwas Nayak has from 24. He has requested for insurance from Bangalore, right? This is a transaction information. What is transaction information? Anything which related to business, where you are selling or buying goods is a transaction. And if you can record that under something, then you will call it as a transaction or a case or a work object. Work object data is usually, or in Pega, is saved under PC underscore tables. Does it make sense? Yes. Okay, perfect. And PR is more to do with, this is a specific data which you have created here. If you see alpha hyphen data hyphen states table, this table is specific to my, this table is a specific table where I'm maintaining some data, like states codes data is not something, it's not a business transaction, it's a standard or standalone standard data. It's not going to change. Yes or no? It's not going to change. That is why we are maintaining under PR underscore alpha underscore data state stable. Does it make sense, guys? Are you able to understand what data tables are all about? This way you will be creating many of the data tables depending upon what sort of data you want. For country, you can create one. This is a state table. Can't we create a similar one for country? Yes or no? For city also you can create, because that is a standalone data which can be created at the organization level. Any application being built on top of your organization will be using it. And we also understood how manually you can insert those records. When I try to click on this, you see all the data which is present for that thing. See, image. If I click on this, it should ideally take me into another pop-up, but that's fine. But the point here is how exactly you can create data types from Pega, and what is that needed. You just have to click here and say add data type, create it under the data class, under a concrete data class. Does it make sense? If as soon as you create it under a data class, right, Pega automatically creates a concrete class for you, maps it to a table. You have to just create a data type, and then come to the data model, add your necessary properties you want, come to records, choose your key, submit it. That's it. Did we do anything other than that? Of course, we understood what all happens at the back end, but did we do anything more than that? Yes, no? Yes, no? Any question, guys? Any questions? If you guys want to, Mhm. Yeah, use as a key. Okay, use as a key is nothing but if yeah, I'm posting my channel where I'll be posting the class details and sessions. You can follow that. So use as a key is, whenever you want to access a certain table, you will need a key. It's like, it is the way in which you can, for example, if you have a huge set of data, for example, if you see in your government offices, when you go, there will be a lot of files, right? For example, if you have to pay a kandaya for your particular home, they can't keep all the sheets together, and then they can't open every sheet and see if your name is there. You know what? They will have indexes. Do you see them having indexes? For this area, this is the index. That index is nothing but a key. Why will it help them? They can easily reach out to the data. Does it make sense? That to reach out to the data, they need a link, a easy link. I don't know what's your name. Okay, Fanish. So, if you have to, for example, your particular details, for example, from your, if you have 10,000 students in your class, in that particular year, if you have to look for Fanish data, if everything is on top of each other, do you think it is easy to look for your answer sheet? No, until unless you have a white sheet popping out on the side and telling, hey, this is the a funny or with the answer sheets with p starts from here. This key is nothing but the same thing for data. That manual paper connection has 10,000 sheets, but this data is so huge, right? Do you recognize how big a data can get? For example, Aadhaar card, just for your area will be so many people. But to look for them, you should have a unique key, right? Like the Aadhaar number is the unique key here, right? Does it make sense? To look for that particular data. That's what it means. Nothing else. Perfect. Anything else, guys? In the link which I have sent you, I have posted few of the videos there. And if you're interested in more, I would say, like, you can sign up to our uh, classes, and then you'll be getting the details there. Any of you guys are interested in like continuing further? Yes, no. If any of you guys are interested, you can ping me here and I can share details with you. You can WhatsApp me on this number 8482199369, and then I'll share the details with you and you guys can get onboarded. If you like the explanation and if this is something which you want to do to understand Pega in a better way, you can of course try us. Thank you. If you don't have any questions, I can drop. I hope there are no questions. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining.